Welcome to the B2T Show, where we empower Christian patriots with truth. This is Rick, your host. Welcome. It is Tuesday, October 6th, and we have full DECLAS on SpyGate and emails. Trump orders it just recently. That's going to be the SpyGate and the Clinton email scandal. Is full DECLAS with no redactions is what he's saying. Wow. He's also ripping off his mask in dramatic style, saying, I beat COVID. So I'm going to give you my opinion on what really happened over those 3 or 4 or 5 days. There's a lot of rumors and people making different type of innuendos, but I'll let you know at least what I personally think. I'll even let you know a little bit about what Gene's talking about, although some of it's pretty deep that you'll have to come backstage for some of that. He'll be on tomorrow night, by the way. Don't miss the show tomorrow night. Gene will be on. I also, those of you in the STWI program, we'll have a 7 o'clock teaching series at about 7 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday on lesson 2 that we're on. Let's get rolling here. Let me see who's on here. I saw a bunch of people. Really appreciate them coming on. It's awesome. Proud Q-Nana. Welcome back, Rick. Hope you enjoyed your grandchild's first birthday. We missed you. Thanks. Yeah, I did. I took 3 days off, and it was just a wonderful time. So not only did I get a Saturday birthday party, his actual birthday was on Monday. It was just a beautiful time. It was a lot of fun. We traveled. I had to be on a plane though, and all that stuff wasn't too fun. But other than that, being there was awesome. Wayne Panic, big hi from England. All right, we got England in the house. Q dropping today. Woo, says Michael. Yeah, we have a ton of that going on. From New York City, we got Annabella, Vancouver, Klaus. The hammer drop, ring arrest, starting at the top, says Tyler. Express Jennifer's here. That's appreciated as being a moderator as well. Got Diane Sullivan is on as a moderator as well. Rob's on as a moderator. We got California Q Girl. All right, we are stacked here. Let me go to the bottom and see where everybody's from. We got live from Massachusetts, Canada. Melbourne, Australia is in the house with Joanne. Appreciate you. Minnesota, Sarah. So appreciate it. We're going to go boom with 2 Qs, I see, Adley says. That's great. We got Chicago in the house. Where else? Just a lot of other Delaware, California, just a ton of people. Let's get rolling here. There's tons of new Q drops, as you know. We'll get to those in a bit. First, I'm going to talk about a few things like, look at this. This is a funny little video. Talk about Trump coming out from the hospital. Here's a little video. Let's watch this. For those of you on the podcast, it's got Trump limping with a cane, and he puts his cane down and he drops his cane and he falls down and rolls over completely fine. And then we have the famous liberals screaming.
What a great honor to be able to introduce
Upset.
for the first time ever anywhere.
Upset. I thought that was hilarious. And here we have just Cuomo going crazy. So as you know, the liberal heads exploded. And liberal, I don't like that word. It's really more like the cabal's head. All those following the cabal are under the control of Trump derangement syndrome and the cabal. Here's Cuomo, who's one of those.
Reshooting the scene for his own ad. I hold rallies, and I tell you to ignore masks, and I rip mine off as I vanquish the virus because I am a leader. Fear not, COVID. What a bunch of bullshit.
Excuse the language there, but it just shows you they went crazy and wild. And so we're going to really break down what I think happened on those 3 or 4 days, and then dig into all the new drops and tweets that we're seeing from Trump. He's still going crazy right now, so I'm sure we'll get some more updates. I did want to get to the sponsor of this episode, and it is Noble Gold at 877-646-5347. And you know, life has never looked so uncertain as it does right now. Across the U.S., people are being paralyzed into indecision, humming and hawing about everything, feeling flustered and shutting down, avoiding that issue, the money one. But bleak as it might look, there may be a silver or gold lining. If you have worked for years with your COVID, you may have 401k sitting around. We're not talking peanuts either. Some plans have thousands of dollars in them. To find out more about unlocking your own hidden treasure, call them. The team at Noble Gold at 877-646-5347. If that's not enough, I think I showed you this awesome coin they're offering which is this, what are they calling this? It's American Eagle Proof Coin. And so it comes in this awesome case. You open it up, and then boom, it's got a whole memorabilia of the 1992 coin. That's pure gold, right? It's a pure gold, 1/10 of an ounce still, 1/10 of an ounce solid gold, American Eagle Proof Coin. So again, you'll get that for every 401k or IRA that you open up. Call Noble Gold at 877-646-5347. All right, here we go. I wanted to show you here. I'm going to refresh this. We have 7 or 8 are going, and one of them just came out here. You can see this. So I'm going to go down to the first October 6th one right here. And you can see there's about 10 or 12 of them now. As Q's going crazy. And we're going to be flipping over to the drops as well. So here's the last one we talked about on 10-1. So the 1st of October, Democratic Party con. Democratic Party playbook. Who are the real racists? The world is waking up. Q. And now the first one today we saw. So now, thank goodness I was flying home and saw all these Q drops. I go, I got to go live. No question about it. Look at all this cool stuff. So here's a link about Senator Ron Johnson talking about something. It says, time for change. Let's see what happens. Q. So this is pretty cool because this is early in the day, right? We're at 3 o'clock or so. 3 o'clock. He says, let's see what happens. Remember that. And here we see Senator Ron Johnson on Maria Bartiromo show. And just look at the difference in material by committee received from the U.S. GSA versus the FBI. So he's going to show this. It's a really good clip. Let's listen to it.
So let me disagree a little bit with Chairman Graham, where he said he's very pleased with the production out of the FBI. I am not. Let me just give you one example. Here's a document we got from the General Services Administration. You can see that it's an email, and everything's presented except for the very bottom. They've redacted the mobile phone number of the person writing the email. Here's the exact same email we got from the FBI. You see something different here? Everything is redacted. And
so for those of you on the phone, completely blacked out. I mean, it was completely blacked out. It's all to protect them. And he talks about that too. So if you play the rest of this, it's going to talk about how the FBI is protecting the agency, or they're protecting some powerful person they don't want to be embarrassed or criminalized, right? So instead of being transparent with us, Director Wray has shown him to be part of the cabal, really. He's part of the family of not telling us the truth. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Sad state of affairs in the FBI, but it's showing that there's going to have to be more powerful DECLAS action, which we got later in the day, which we'll talk about in just a second. But here we have, let's see what happens, Q at 3 o'clock today. And then we see 48807, that was 4808 is another Q proof, or just giving us some, I guess, exciting type of clues to point again, to go to the hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands by now, of coincidences. So here is a link to all these flights, and one of them happens to have a call. You know how they have these call IDs, and the ID is Trust 17 B742. So this is, you can see the squawk and the altitude and everything else, but the call sign being Trust 17. Isn't that just interesting? And Q repost this. This is a mobile Twitter, so you can actually go see this guy actually posted this on Twitter right here. And there's a lot of people going, where we go one, we go all, and having the Q afterwards, and having Pepe the Frogs and Trump with all kinds of cool memes that are a bit beneath that. But I just want to make sure you saw that this is indeed a real tweet. And then Q posts it, and he says, keep charging, Midnight Riders. Night Watch, Q. Night Watch. What's he talking about? I think he's talking about a lot of Trump tweeting, a lot of Q drops coming right before us. So that was 4808 with the Trust 17. Now we go to 4809. We see Fox News. Let's see what happens again. Q. What happens here? DNI declassifies Brennan note CIA memo on Hillary Clinton's stirring up the scandal between Trump and Russia. So brand new declassified Brennan notes. And boy, if there's one person that I want to see go down, this is the guy. He is, basically an anti-Christian, pro-extreme Muslim, trying to cover up all the Muslim Brotherhood that are infiltrating our government. And he was bringing them in by the droves, and then he just has a hatred for Trump that just spews out of his mouth every time he's talked the last 4 years. And so, boy, what is such a glorious day that Brennan's being outed as knowing about this, Hillary Clinton's plans to smear Trump into Russia, and not let anybody know. A source said Brennan's handwritten notes were taken after briefing Obama on the matter. So Obama was in on all this as well. Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe on Tuesday declassified documents that revealed former CIA Director John Brennan's briefed former President Obama on Hillary Clinton's purported plan to tie then-candidate Donald Trump to Russia as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server ahead of the 2016 presidential election, Fox News has learned. So now you see it linking all this together. The Russia thing was not only a plan to rig the election, it was also a plan to protect her from the email scandal. And so basically SpyGate, Russiagate, what some people call FISA-gate, that all is linked in with the email scandal. We knew that because Peter Strzok was over both investigations and worked with Comey and everybody else to let her off. At the same time, they were framing Trump for something he didn't even do, a campaign. This is the biggest crime of the century, is what we're going to see here. Political crime of the century, that's what Trump calls it. And if I go there, it says Ratcliffe declassified Brennan's handwritten notes, which were taken after he briefed Obama on the intelligence the CIA received, and a CIA memo which revealed that officials referred to the matter to the FBI for potential investigative action. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence transmitted the classified documents to the House and the Senate Intelligence Committees on Tuesday afternoon. Today, the director of President Trump, at the direction of President Trump, I declassified additional documents relevant to the ongoing congressional oversight and investigative activities, Ratcliffe said in a statement to Fox News on Tuesday. A source familiar with the documents explained that Brennan's handwritten notes were taken after briefing Obama on the matter. This is a quote, we're getting additional insight into Russia activities from redacted, Brennan notes read, cite summarizing, alleged approved by Hillary Clinton a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russia security services. Brennan's notes read. The notes state on 28th of July in the margin, Brennan writes POTUS, but that section of the note is redacted. Isn't this interesting note, July 28th, because we know that the whole spying operation supposedly officially started on July 30th of 2016. So this is all 2016. Interesting, huh? Any evidence in collaboration between Trump campaign plus Russia? The notes read. The remainder of the notes are redacted except the margins, which reads DC, Dennis, and Susan. The notes don't spell out the full names, but JC could be referring to the FBI Director James Comey. Susan could refer to the National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, and Dennis could refer to Obama's Chief of Staff, Dennis McDonough. So everybody was in the know. Everybody was in the know about this. Let's see what happens. Q, he says, in 4809. 4810. Another let's see what happens. Q. This is just the news. Declassified memos here. CIA fears Clinton was stirring up false Russia collusion narrative. So this is another view of this. This one suspected goal was to vilify Donald Trump and distract from Clinton's own controversies in the 2016 election. So just the news here. John Solomon doing a great job here, really giving us truth. I'm not sure if this clip actually gets into that much. Sometimes he goes back a ways on some of the stuff, so I'm going to skip the actual view here, but he does a good job of actually talking about this in more detail. I'm going to kind of go back. I read that other article, so let me just go to some of this. The warnings came as the FBI was just starting Crossfire Hurricane probe into the now disproven Trump-Russia collusion aided by Clinton campaign-funded dossier by Christopher Steele. They are likely to bolster GOP claims that James Comey's FBI ignored clear evidence that the allegations were a political dirty trick and not evidence of counterintelligence threat. That's the whole point. This was a complete setup. This was a complete farce from the beginning. That's 4810. And we see 4811, information warfare. Q. What's he talking about? Well, NBC News saying Facebook bans QAnon across its platforms. So if you have a QAnon account, fortunately my Facebook is more about news and about bringing Patriots truth, Christian Patriots truth. So my Facebook happens to be up for the page that I took it out of my group months ago. They censored the heck out of that one. I think the only thing that keeps my Facebook page up is that you guys have rated it so high. So thank you so much for that. There's a lot of ratings on my Facebook page. It has me as a 4.9 out of 5. So I want to thank you so much. If you have time to go to the Blessed to Teach, it's with a T-O this time, on Facebook, Blessed T-O Teach, and continue those high ratings. I think and the fact that I did some Facebook advertising has kept that page up, which is surprising because they took down the group so quickly. They constantly banned me from posts there on the Facebook group. They constantly kept me from doing all kinds of things, and then eventually just completely disbanded it without even telling me why. That's Facebook censorship going strong here. And so obviously it lies about us. QAnon demonstrators protest child trafficking on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles, and then it goes in here. It's going to talk about all kinds of things about QAnon that are it's a fringe theory on the dark parts of the internet. Goes on and on. I'm not going to give it the time of day, but that's what we've seen hundreds of articles like that. And now the fake news media combined with their smear campaign operation is coming into giving big tech an excuse to do what we knew they were going to do. I thought they were going to do it back in January. So the fact that they haven't taken us all out by now is, I think, a little bit showing that we are watching a movie and that the White Hats are protecting some people in the accounts, at least to have us still operational at this point in time. That's my opinion anyway. I forgot to let me back up a little bit and get back into what my opinion is on what happened here early on with let's see, these two things, with Trump coming back at the White House, ripping off his mask, and just the left going crazy. So there was a lot of things about, was he on a ship because of the way the lines were changing when they were doing the videos, etc. And he was in the exact same outfit with the same tie that he was when he first visited Walter Reed, and as he went the second time supposedly. Was he actually there? Did he actually have COVID? What was this the sign of? All that type of stuff was happening. Is it the 10 days of darkness? So I think that a lot of that 10 days of darkness. So and I think, just in fairness, what I had predicted before I left on Friday with you all is that I believe he did have it, and it was probably some type of dirty trick the Dems did to make sure all these other people had it. But the best, and that they'd be coming out with a bunch of therapeutics to say, hey, look at like hydroxychloroquine with zinc and the Z-Pack, just like all the studies show, work extremely well. So hey, Mercia, just use the God wins 3. I think people are back there, and we got a bunch of people back there already. So I think you can send that, type out that password too if you'd like. But anyway, so that's the backstage. So I had predicted that it was all about showing the therapeutics and showing that to be scared of this. And so I think part of that prediction came true. Another theory I saw that was really intriguing since I talked to you guys last time was that they had planned to do this the week before the election, and that the White Hats moved it back. And that would say maybe he didn't have it, or maybe they clearly gave it to him and are just going to show that these therapeutics work. Whatever it is, it's clear that the prediction was I think correct about they wanted to show off that you don't have to be scared of this, that there's therapeutics all over the place. You don't even really need a vaccine because you have all these therapeutics, right? Now, I was really surprised when I saw that Trump was taking remdesivir, right, or whatever, the big pharma drug, partially funded by Fauci. But he's also taking other therapeutics. And so my prediction still holds that you're going to have Hope Hicks and all the press secretary, everybody that got this. The senators are all going to come out fine. and they're going to all have different types of, and they're all going to have different types of winning. So somebody's saying that I might have some mic problem on. Nope, it looks good. My mic looks really good on backstage as well. So but anyway, that's what I believe is happening. It's still a play to get people to. You have this huge battle of the military intelligence operation, and the black hats are doing all this. The fires. Before that, the pandemic to the planned riots to the planned fires. Right now, you're trying to create more fear. They're going to try to create more fear right before the election to not go vote by mail or go to not vote in person. And so that is what I think is exactly happened here. And they moved it back. That's to me a great theory. I think that is. Now, was he actually there, Walter Reed, or not? I don't believe so. I believe he was extremely well protected, and that the person driving around was probably a double. We'll get into a lot more detail about what Gene thought. Gene will even talk a little bit about sources he has that show there's a much deeper things going on behind the scenes. He'll talk about that tomorrow night on Backstage. So tomorrow night on Backstage, join us. Again, we had that a password there. But once you go in and go to the live pass, you'll have to do that God Wins 3 to join, but with the link. Don't be sharing the link, please. But I'm sharing that publicly, and we might be changing that every once in a while, but you'll get an email on it. All right. So that is the theories that I think was going on there, and I think it's a brilliant move because now they're unloading everything on them as far as DECLAS goes. We finally get DECLAS in a big way as we see happening here. So here's a meme that we've seen before in 4812. It has everybody pointing guns at Trump. The GOP elites, CNN, CBS, Washington Post, CNBC, DNC, White House, NBC, Wall Street, United Nations, Political, Univision, Special Interest, MSNBC, Global Elites, New York Times, Clinton Machine, ABC, Entertainment Industry, Global, Boston Globe, all pointing their guns at Trump. And there you go. It says Q basically then amplifies on the meme saying he gave up everything. He knew his life and the lives of his family would forever change. He knows the consequences. A man who had everything. Why do it? Q. All right, we got family talking down low, and I got the door open like a dummy. Just 1 second. I'm live. Hopefully they know I'm live now. So the studio can be noisy if I don't have the door closed. That was my fault. All right, that was 4812, right? A man who had everything. Why do it? Q. And that is exactly right. That's 4812. You go to 4813 and you get, how close did we come to losing it? And this is the best post of the night, I believe, besides the whole DECLAS announcement Trump makes in a second. But this is, how close did he come to losing? This is 4813. What if she got in? What if she got 3+ Supreme Court justices? What if she got 300+ judges? What if rogue elements remained plus one more added within FBI, CIA, NSA, state, DNI, White House, IRS, the DHS, ICE, the WHO, the CDC, ... What if our military remained financially starved? What if foreign backers continued to control America's policies? What if our borders remained open? What if China was given the keys? What if ... This is not about R versus D. Q. Is that not right? That's exactly right. This is not about R versus D. I tell people this from the beginning when I started this channel 2.5 years ago, right? My first thing was all about the Rubik's Cube, right? And then trying to divide us all, the media trying to divide us by race and by religion and by class and by gender, every single way they can possibly divide us so they can break apart the strong melting pot of the United States. But if they can't do that, and have a mixed up Rubik's Cube of everybody loving each other with different races and religions and genders, and people supporting each other as a great melting pot. Well, with a strong U.S. economy, the New World Order can't happen. And here we are right now with the Savior of the world is Jesus, right? And obviously Jesus and the mighty Almighty Lord's hand is on this country right now, and they anointed Donald J. Trump for such a time as this and saved us on November 6th. Is that right? 2016. Because this would have happened. I mean, the 16-year plan to destroy America would be in full effect. We'd be in FEMA camps or through nuclear war by now, I believe. But wow. So somebody who's saying, where's the greatness of America? What it was almost nailed in the coffin, right? The 16-year plan to destroy America was pretty much at its edge when God swooped in and saved us, his refuge. That's 48:13, 48:14. Why are we being censored? Why are we being attacked daily? Why are we being condemned by Congress? 1984 thought crime? What happens when people are no longer allowed to think freely? What happens when people are no longer allowed to challenge their authority? What happens when people no longer fight back? Q. This is all about how much totalitarian control can they put worldwide, right? You see huge lockdowns going on in Australia, New Zealand, much worse than we see here in the United States. And wow. It's like the 1984 thought crimes, being in, rethinking camps or whatever they would call them, right? Our FEMA camps would have been in full control. And so anybody who thinks that Trump is part of controlled opposition, part of the cabal, why would have they had Hillary lose? I mean, they would have been able to do all these things. Now you've got 300 plus judges that are going to be ruling against all this voter fraud that they're trying to go after. You've got 3 Supreme Court justices, and you have amazing things happening right now. And so this censorship is happening. Why? Because they have lost control. That's 48:14. We move over to 48:15, the big bomb, the big boom for the day. 48:15 is a tweet by Trump that says, I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history, the Russia hoax. Likewise, the Hillary Clinton email scandal. No redactions. Exclamation point. Whew. And Q basically just says, Red October. Q. Are we seeing it now? That is for sure. Hey, TJ Tornado, good to see you. Look at this. This is amazing stuff if you really look at it. And so if we go to the actual tweet where Trump said this, you'll look at it and it says, he's actually talking to Paul Sperry, who earlier in the day, it was last night, or late last night, like 8:40 p.m. last night, when he said, Paul Sperry goes, when all documents are finally declassified and all redactions removed from reports, the nation will see that the FBI and CIA not only knew Russia collusion allegations against Trump were a political dirty trick, but they were in on the trick. And that's what Trump retweeted to basically say, I fully authorize a total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history, the Russian hoax. Likewise, the Hillary Clinton email scandal. No redactions. Boom. Here is CJ True saying, Red October, the hunters become the hunted. Great things for you to retweet and get out there. You can do a quote retweet by typing something like, a lot of times I do dark to light, right? Dark to light. Just to kind of re-emphasize what is actually happening here. These are the type of things you can come and see here. This is kind of funny. Excellent news, says Tom Fenton. The redaction comes. Here's Praying Medic saying bombs away with a picture of a nuclear explosion, right? Here it comes. Buckle up your seatbelts. Put on your seat back in the tray tables and upright and lock positions for landing. Thank you for flying Deep State Airlines. And so kind of funny memes down below each one of these. But that is 48:15, the boom of the day. And then you have also 4816 here. It says, think drop today regarding Senator Johnson regarding redactions. GSA versus the FBI, where he said the GSA one was finally redacted fully except for the phone number, and the FBI was completely redacted, showing that they're hiding things. And then, quote, let's see what happens. Think POTUS today, no redactions. Do you see what happened? Q. So that was way back at 3 o'clock. Let's see what happens, Q saying, and boom, all these bombs drop. Another proof of QAnon. He knew things were coming, and it certainly did. That is exactly what we saw. Let's refresh to see if we have any more Q. I have a lot more news to get through as well. That is 4816. That's the last one. Let me know if he drops again, and we'll get right back on it. Here's some QAnon, some Anons talking about this. It says, POTUS, I have finally authorized a total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history. Some comments here, and this person says, it's happening. COVID before DECLAS. Remember, we had C before D. So a lot of people were wondering what that was. Could it have been COVID before DECLAS? That would have been some Project Looking Glass type things, because that was talked about way before COVID even was arrived, right? Lots of nattling in DC tonight. Some people are saying, it's like, wow. So this is some fun stuff here. I think this is Amy Murcia saying, fasten your seatbelts. Right? Platinum Nurse. Follow Amy at Platinum Nurse on YouTube. She's a moderator right now here. Let's see. Here we have DECLAS brings down the house. Let's go. And that is exactly what's happening. We see winning. POTUS does a complete DECLAS. So people are excited about this. Here is another tweet by Trump. He just was lighting it up today when Greg Jarrett said, bombshell, Clinton allegedly approved Russiagate falsehoods as a distraction from email scandal. And Trump retweets that and says, a disgraceful con artist charges anyone. So he's calling Hillary Clinton a disgraceful con artist. Charges anyone? So he's asking for charges. Interesting stuff. Here is Town Hall write-up about it. It says, caught red-handed. Brennan's handwritten notes prove Obama was briefed on scheme to set up Trump. I thought that was a really well-written article. So that's in the show notes. Again, if you want the show notes of everything I show you here, you go to blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2 teach.com. Just give me your email. Then you can have your email every morning, U.S. time, and you'll be able to play the video right from there with all the show notes. So it's a beautiful system if you want to get all links to all these things. And that's part of being a digital warrior. Take those links and retweet them out, right? Here is Charlie Kirk saying, retweet if the Senate should call Barack Obama and John Brennan to testify under oath about their role in the Russian hoax. That's another great one to actually retweet and get people to talk about it. That is exactly what's happening. So Obama and John Brennan, this is not just the CIA and the FBI. So this is not just the FBI and the DOJ, and it was also John Brennan and the CIA, and it was also the President of the United States, as well as the state and all kinds of other, they were all in the Russia hoax together, trying to take down a campaign of a different political party, and then also the President of the United States, a duly elected President of the United States. That's called treason. Treason of the highest type. Here is Greg Jarrett talking about corrupt Comey conveniently claims no memory of parts of FBI Trump-Russia collusion probe. So he's in the Senate testifying and under oath, and he is in deep trouble. Richard Grinnell, New York Times Pentagon reporter believes the Russians installed Trump. So here we are still, to this day, we still have reporters actually believing that Russians installed Trump. Even after they turned up every rock, did everything they possibly could, and they couldn't nail him because there was no collusion. This is the DC media. They are partisan activists. So here's a blue checkmark person called Helen Cooper saying, actually, the American people voted for Hillary. Russians and the Electoral College installed Trumputin. See, that's what we're dealing with right now. People still lying their teeth through their teeth. 4 a.m. talking point liars still control the media, and that is going to be a beautiful thing to watch fall here soon. But what we really know is that the American people voted for Trump, and it was a voter fraud that brought the political. I mean, the voter fraud that you had, especially in the Dem-controlled states, that we now see them trying to continue that with vote by mail fraud, that brought even any type of closeness in that election. Chris Wallace was a total joke. Protected Joe all night long. He's no Mike. This is Trump tweeting. So Paul Sperry, said, if at the next debate moderators don't insist Biden flesh out his proposed policies in detail, finally providing voters specifics regarding his plan for a Medicare option for all and his $4 trillion in tax hikes and his plan to phase out fossil fuels, then you know the fix is in. So that's Paul Sperry talking about that. And then Trump retweets it and says Chris Wallace was a total joke. Protected Joe all night long. He's no Mike. So interesting stuff. And then we have here Midnight Rider just saying this is not going to end well for the deep state. That's exactly right. It's not going to end well for the deep state. That's can't summarize it any better than that right here. And we are seeing clearly, this is an Anon talking on vote.co, we are seeing clearly who supports the cabal's globalist communist New World Order tyranny. It's MSM, Hollywood, 3-letter sports, 3-letter Intel, Obama deep staters, most professors and teachers. Obviously, we're talking about primarily at the college level, I think, here. The swamp cabal deep state has infiltrated all seats of power, institutions, and engines of commerce. Large banks, anything to do with children or children's entertainment, Disney, Netflix, etc. Red Cross, food supply, World Anything, the World Health Organization, the WTO, etc., which is that World Trade Organization that brought China into it, right? Large multinational corporations, local politicians, governors, mayors, state AGs, most of the judicial system not appointed by Trump, circuit judges, appellate judges, Supreme Court judges, DAs, police and police chiefs, not all, but many will look the other way, chosen to enforce illegal actions on citizens or use unnecessary violence. I thought that was just a good review of some of the key, that this is not just about the small area, it's a huge problem that we have, right, overall. Hey, and along with that with the Antifa riots being planned and them trying to create chaos after the election, they know they've lost. We got to get up to vote, right? So they have to have the voter fraud of all the votes coming in after the election to win. And so once all these judges are starting to come down on the states and ruling a lot of this voter fraud attempts and delaying results till afterwards is not going to work, right? So they are going to create chaos in the streets, and that's why the Prepare with Rick site is vital, guys. To actually just go to preparewithrick.com. My Patriot Supply created a special site for us. I really appreciate that. You guys have really supported the site, and but do you have enough food to go weeks without getting to the grocery store? Maybe even without power for a week or two. Can you do that? Preparewithrick.com. You can get both food and water. The food is, again, a great price for a 4-week food supply with tons of calories. That's preparewithrick.com. You can also go to waterwithrick.com or just click here and you'll get the Alexa Pro Pure that works without electricity, uses gravity. So if your power's out, you can have clean, crisp water. Each one of these one filters purifies up to 5,000 gallons of water. Again, gravity powered, removes over 200 plus contaminants, including heavy metals, fluoride, chlorine, viruses, bacteria, pesticides, and pharmaceuticals. So just make sure that you are prepared all around, right? For be able to protect your food and water. Make sure you can have healthy water even without electricity. Make sure you can have plenty of survival food that can be for each person 5 or 6 weeks. Gene says much more. I'm at least asking you to do 5 or 6 weeks per person in your household. Right, that's important. Again, you can find that all at preparewithrick.com. All right, Citizens Free Press breaking: Netflix indicted for child pornography in cuties. I think this is out of Texas, if I remember seeing this, but it looks like we're finally fighting back. Texas grand jury indicted Netflix for knowingly promoting material in the film Cuties, which depicts the lewd exhibition of the genitals or public area of a clothed or partially clothed child who was younger than 18 years of age. Netflix indicted in the Texas court. On October 6th in Tyler County, Texas, a grand jury indicted Netflix for knowingly promoting material in the film Cuties. And you can see it right here. Netflix is indicted, and here's the actual indictment that starts. So that is the battles have started as they try to normalize pedophilia. Lou said to go, if you go look at one of the drops, it leads you to this WikiLeaks article that has something to do, and I haven't had that chance to dig into the details of this, so Lou, if you know, let me know. But it's something to do with emergency session of UNSC. I think this was Jacob Sullivan this went to, and you can see Susan Rice here. There's a bunch of redacted stuff here. Let's explain further our rationale for waiting and reaffirmed that tomorrow's meeting will precede any exercise. We have notified cancel, etc. That meeting at 11 a.m. So I haven't dug into this. It's only about 3 pages, but he's pointing to other WikiLeaks documents, which happens often if you take the actual name of the file and you actually put it into WikiLeaks search engine. I guess Lou is telling me this comes up with that. So once we get more details, we'll let you know what that is pointing to. Here's a tweet that says, by methods, and you can follow him on @M2Madness, says, POTUS gonna break Twitter tonight. That's exactly right. He was going crazy. And here you see Lou talking about part 1, U.S.-China trade deal. China's mad. Then the next step was bio attack of C-19. Then it goes first case, coordinated with art of implementation for distraction on January 15th, silencing the whistleblower. And you see part 2, a whistleblower says he has proof the C-19 originated in the Wuhan lab. And then what do you have? A mail-in voting fraud. Scare people to not vote in person. Trump squashes the fear narrative with his own C-19 recovery. And that's Lou's summary of exactly what's going on. But this is all about the pandemic, to the planned riots, to the fires, to the planned week before the election of all the senators and Trump and the Trumps and the White House personnel getting COVID. They moved it back and did a 5D chess move is what I believe happened here. So interesting stuff. I think our General Flynn is actually having a good time now with life again. Good for you, sir. So here we see General Flynn. And what does he have? He has a violin, and it has a picture of Trump. My next piece is called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. I believe that was a part of an SB2 decode that we did months ago. Really interesting. Here is one of these fake polls again. We saw back in 2016, the Wall Street Journal and NBC News, when they do their fake polls, 52% Clinton, 38% Trump. Well, now they're saying 53% Biden, 39% Trump, trying to project that, hey, after we do our voter fraud, everybody will say, hey, that's what the poll said, trying to get the polls to say what they want. And obviously, you have the Trump effect, oversampling of Democrats. It just continues to be fraudulent. Let's look real quickly to see what else Trump has posted, because he's been busy today. James O'Keefe's being really busy too. See what he's posted just real lately. This is Mr. Donald J. Trump. He's retweeting people. Trump has turned the Washington Post into the National Enquirer. That's exactly right. Amy Coney Barrett served as a handmaid in Christian group people. So here we have, I imagine that was a Washington Post article. You can see because they're so anti-Trump. Now they're anti-Coney Barrett. It's pretty. So here is Lou saying the previous document was escalating tensions between Russia and Korea. They were setting the stage for what we know now was coming under HRC. All right, thanks, Lou. I appreciate that. I think that was back here. So this was setting the stage for the whole Russian conflict. That makes a lot of sense of why they would do that. Here's him retweeting nothing to see here, just silly rumors the president was briefed on. And this is Brooke Singman saying, new declassified John Brennan notes from the briefing of Barack Obama that we read about earlier. Nothing to see here, just silly rumors the president was briefed on. And there's some of the handwritten notes, still a lot of redactions. Be interesting when we get the ones that aren't redacted. And here's Donald Trump saying, if I am sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks, $1,200, they will go out to our great people immediately. I am ready to sign right now. Are you listening, Nancy? At Mark Meadows and a bunch of other people. So this is a smart thing to do, I think, right here. Because he's basically saying don't work on a stimulus bill with Nancy because she's trying to get all kinds of left-oriented stupidity and pork barrel items, such as she mentions cannabis more than she mentioned jobs, and she also had a ton of stuff in there to bail out the badly run cities of Democratic-run cities. So it's real interesting. Look at this. Shows you Twitter want me to try to follow Joe and the New York Times. That's how corrupt Twitter is. You know, they know who I'm following and who I want to get news from. Donald Trump says 11,000 North Carolina residents get incorrect voter registration forms. 2,000 LA County voters received faulty ballots with no way to vote for president. Many others throughout the USA. Here we go. This will be the most corrupt election in American history. So I think we got to prepare ourselves for a lot of prayer. And that thank goodness we have those 300 judges in and hopefully Amy Coney Barrett in before the end of the term, so that anything that goes to the Supreme Court, we know John Roberts is compromised. In my opinion, he's completely compromised. He'll vote his normal conservative self, but in any big item that the cabal really wants to pull his strings on, he will vote with the cabal. And here's Trump saying the House and Senate should immediately approve $25 billion for airline payroll support and $135 billion for paycheck protection program for small businesses. Both of these will be fully paid for within unused funds from CARES Act. Have this money, I will sign now. So he's basically putting it on Nancy. Nancy's going to not do this, obviously. She's going to try to create chaos. She does not care about people. She cares about trying to make Trump look bad. And this person says, Obama knew everything, John Cardillo says, a blue check mark guy. And you see here Trump retweeted that. TV guy, this guy is a New York PD. Once upon a time, my horses call me wannabe cowboy. Opinion is mine. Retweet does not equal an endorsement. Interesting. That's John Cardillo there. Senator Paul Rand, Trump retweeting this as well. If you're more worried about Donald Trump's unmasking on a balcony with no one close to him than you were by the Obama-Biden administration unmasking, aka illegally spying on the political opponents, my diagnosis is you have TDS. Isn't that right? Trump derangement syndrome. And my prescription is to put down your phone. And that was interesting. At some point in time, I'll probably tell backstage people about what happened on my plane ride back home tonight. But hopefully we have a new listener that is of a different political persuasion. That was a great discussion on the plane. Probably part of the STWI class too. We'll talk about that as well. Here it is. For the love of God, arrest somebody. Somebody's saying here, where? I don't think Trump did tweet that. Trump retweeted that. That is pretty funny. So interesting stuff. And then here is Greg Jarrett saying Pelosi, Trump's behavior was a brazen invitation for coronavirus infection. And so wear your mask in a beauty parlor, Nancy. Trump says Trump is just on fire tonight. That's why I wanted to go over this real quick. So I had to constantly fight. This is Trump again. Off this scum. He's talking about Greg Jarrett saying Stunning revelations expose FBI Trump's probe as dirtiest political trick in U.S. history. Trump says, so I had to constantly fight off all this scum, achieve more than any other president in first term, and then they talk chaos. They created crimes against me and this administration. They sure did. It's called treason, too. Then he retweeted what we already saw from Craig Jarrett. So I think we're caught up on Trump's tweets. Let me just refresh here real quick before we go to a Mark Taylor prophecy. Mark Taylor will be on the show again Friday night around 5:30 Central Time on Friday night. We'll have Mark Taylor live to give us an update. We have not had him on for a couple months, so it'll be fun to really hear from Mark. See if we got anything else from Trump. Looks like we got them all. All right, let's flip back, make sure we don't have any new drops. We don't. We're looking good. All right, so I just want you to know that blessed2teach.com is blessed with the number 2teach.com. That's where you can go to the court, get the courses. That's where you can sign up for the show notes. That's where you can send me an email. All the type of things are here right on the if it's a wide computer, the menu will be up here. If it's a mobile device, it'll be like here, and you'll see all the different things you can get to. Backstage is where I just want to show most people, because that's where we will have Gene on tomorrow night to do a Q&A session. So if you haven't had a chance to do that and get a question in for Gene, make sure you come on tomorrow night. There's still a deal going on. Looks like the website is really slow right now. I'll make sure that gets fixed here shortly. But that is a secure site that we have paid to be secure. But it looks like we have a little error there. I'll get fixed quickly. But it's still haven't raised the price up, because we're doing a lot more work. There's actually teaching in there where we take, instead of you having to listen to a 6-hour video to get the nuggets from Gene, we're taking and compiling that, where you can do that in like 20 minutes. So it's a whole series of classes where you can get the teachings from Gene in a much more precise way. The same things are happening, and Robert's doing a great job on this. Also, teachings about Gene's decodes, where we take out a lot of the fluff and make sure in a limited amount of time you can catch up with all his teachings. A lot of other stuff are going to be coming back there. My son's even working on my 21-year-old son's working on a decode. It had to be more with the Nephilim and what those are in the Bible, and what some of the other extra biblical books talk about, like the book of Jasper and the book of Enoch and others. So a lot of fun stuff are going to be going on backstage. So join us there. Let's get into this prophecy by Mark Taylor that says, this is the Army of God speech that he was told to rewrite for the, I'm sorry, this is the Dwight Eisenhower going into D-Day speech that he wrote for the Army of God. Army of God is, in my opinion, most of you listen to this. It's the remnant. It's the people that are red-pilled Christian patriots I talk about all the time. If you're a red-pilled Christian patriot, you're praying to the Lord for actually healing your nation, you are likely part of this Army of God. So he rewrote this to you. And it says, from the Supreme Commander to the Army of God, heaven's invading expeditionary forces. It says, apostles, prophets, evangelists, preachers, and teachers, men and women of the Army of God, you are about to embark upon a great crusade toward which we have striven since all of creation. The eyes of the world and all of heaven are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you, in company with our brothers and sisters in arms on the fronts. You will bring about the destruction of the satanic war machine, the elimination of the demonic tyranny over the oppressed peoples of the earth, and securing for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped, and battle hardened. He will fight savagely. But now's the time. Much has happened since the demonic triumphs of years past. The body of Christ have inflicted upon the demonic great defeats in the spiritual and the natural realms. Our spiritual offensive has seriously reduced their strength in the air and their capacity to wage war on the ground. I have given you an overwhelming superiority in weapons for your warfare, and placed at your disposal great reserves of trained fighting men and women from the body of Christ. The tide has turned. The free men and women of my army are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion, and duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. For this is a great and noble undertaking, and the victory is yours. Your supreme commander, God. I think I misread this last sentence a little bit. I'm going to reread this real quick up here. It says, in company with our brothers and sisters in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the satanic war machine, the elimination of the demonic tyranny over the oppressed peoples of the earth, and security for ourselves in a free world. Whew. What a great rewriting of the D-Day speech by Eisenhower on June 2016 is when Mark wrote this. And tell you what, that's what's happening right now. The demonic, satanic forces have taken huge hits, and now we're seeing full-on attacks from Trump. And wow, kind of exciting. Let's wrap up with a Bible verse. This is the Bible memory verses that I love. This is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. This is one of my life verses because sometimes things don't make sense. Like, why wouldn't the White Hats arrest people earlier? Why would we wait until so close to the election before we declass all this stuff? I would have done it differently, right? Those are the type of things. And so, but if God is in control here, which I believe he is, and if God is putting his hand on this nation, his timing is perfect. But it may not be in our own understanding. And so if we really want to be in God's will, join him in what he's doing already. Remember, this isn't like, hey, God, what can I do for you? It's more like, God, how can I join you in what you're already doing? And you can use me in a mighty way for your kingdom. That's one thing I learned in one of the studies I did that just was so helpful to me to realize, you're right. When God's going to, wipe out the world and use Noah, it wasn't like he asked Noah, Noah didn't go, hey, God, how can you use me? It's more of the other way around. How can you be in tune to what God is doing already so that you can join him in it? It's a different way of thinking a little bit. And this verse kind of talks about it. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So you're not always trying to go figure out exactly what you would do. You're trying to figure out what God is doing already, right? In all your ways, submit to him. And if you really submit with him in all your ways, in all parts of your life, he will make your path straight. So you want God's help in making your path straight? This verse gives you a great advice. Don't lean on your understanding. Just trust in him with all your heart. And in all your ways, submit to him. And don't lean on that own understanding that can mess things up sometimes. All right. With that, I'm going to pray. And thank you guys. We'll be on tomorrow night again with Gene. Doing a Q&A at the end for Backstage. He's also got a loaded program he's going to do on Unleashed, which is an upgraded area where he does an extra 2 to 4 hour class once a month. And he's got some great topics coming up. We'll announce that here shortly. Mark Taylor will be on Friday night, and fun stuff coming up. Tell you what, Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for giving us prophets like Mark Taylor, Amanda Grace, that are giving us truth about what's going on right now. Thank you for having an anointing on President Trump and saving us on November 6, 2016 from what would have happened to the 16-year plan to destroy America. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to participate and be alive at such a time as this, where we can see the hand of God on all the world, and especially the United States right now in this specific election. Lord, we just pray for the protection of this president and all the white hats involved here, all the people that are working underground in all these deep underground military bases and just protecting the president. Lord, we just pray for the blessing on them. We pray for these children, that the human trafficking gets just gets ended completely, Lord, and that these dear children get healed and used in a mighty way for your kingdom in the future. Use us, Lord, now in a mighty way for the kingdom. Let us know how you want to use us, Lord. And we submit to you like Proverbs 3:5-6 says, Lord, we want to not lean on our understanding as much as we wanted to submit to you and love you with all of our heart, Lord. And please make our path straight. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys. With that, what an exciting time. Full DECLAS. Trump orders it now for SpyGate, Russiagate, and the Clinton email scandal. Exciting times ahead. God bless you. If you have a backstage pass, come in now. We'll talk to you, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye. You've just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited short B2T clips on a new channel called B2T Clips. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, Backstage with Blessed to Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.